Good morning. This is leg 5, final leg into Anchorage. I made it through the Canadian border yesterday around 5 p.m. There was so much light left. I was originally scheduled to stop at Beaver Creek. I had stayed there before on a previous trip with my wife, and I was ready to do that again. But the hotel that I stayed at the first time, which I had pretty much had my mind set on, was still closed, and it was apparently going to be closed until I think May. So I went to another place to see if they had vacancy, and the answer was no. And then she mentioned this other place. I went there, and I thought the price was too high. And since I had a lot of energy and I had plenty of gas, and I was so close to the U.S. border, and I wanted to be able to turn on my phone, I just decided to go through with it. Just go. 2 hours later, there's a town called Talk. There's a really good restaurant there called Fast Eddie's. I totally recommend it. Their pizza was amazing. They have beer. Apparently they have steaks and other things. And it was actually pretty packed. Like last night, there was all sorts of people at that restaurant, and it's a big restaurant. And I'd almost compare it to like a, like when you would find in a major city even. So this place is really nice. They also, it's a two for deal. Like it's the restaurant, but it's also the office for motel rooms. So I was able to get a room, and the room was very well maintained, cleaned. It's smaller than the other rooms, but it was still a pretty good price, and I enjoyed my night. I got to rest. I got to have a couple beers. I ate some pizza. I even still have some pizza. I had a slice for breakfast, and it's still some in the box, and it's good pizza, like legitimately good pizza. So if you are in passing through Toke, not sure how to say it, T-O-K, if you are hungry, stop by at Fast Eddie's. That place is pretty good. The Shell gas station there was also like just a beautiful thing to see. Like sometimes these similar very iconic brands that you see in the U.S. Shell. Like in Canada, you have the Esso stations. Now, I remember in Germany, when I was living there, Esso stations are like the best. They're awesome. So they have them here in Canada, and they're also great. It's like mobile. It's like, I would compare it to mobile. It almost even has the same colors. So nothing against Esso. This is a great place to grab gas, and they usually have everything that you're gonna want and that you expect to find at a gas station. And then Shell, like in the US, Shell, I don't know. I think I was just pretty much eager to get over the border. I was ready to be in the US. What are the differences between roads in the US and roads in Canada? So here's what I'll say. This point goes to the US. You can see I'm on a long highway, obviously, but what do you see? You see well painted and well marked lanes, and that's hard to find in Canada. Once you start getting into these rural areas, they're there's super long stretches where there's nothing marked. So you can see the bank, you can see your parameters, your left and right limits, but then there's nothing dividing the highways. So the problem with that is you have vehicles incoming, right? Well, I want them to basically stay on their lane the same way I want to be able to stay on my lane. And so, like in Alaska, that's easy to do because the lanes are painted, and they're actually marked very well. Like you can see these clearly. In Canada, when they're there, It's so faded, and so they're hard to see. I remember this one time I was passing like a line of cars, like it was at least 5 to 6 cars lined up, and we're all just stuck behind a huge semi, and I wanted to pass. Well, I decided, okay, now's the time, whatever. I pulled over to the side and I started speeding up, and I'm passing car 1, 2, and 3, and then the lane, which doesn't exist, it's not there. Instead of showing, like the dashed line, which is what I had seen before they faded, it was like a solid line. So here I was, clearly breaking the law, like passing cars as I on a lane that's not passing. But you could have, like, I did it safely. I mean, I could see that it was downhill and it was straight. So it's like very typical of a passing lane, right? When you're going downhill and it's straight, there's no curve. So I thought I was well within my rights, but no, I was wrong. And if I had gotten stopped, I'd been properly screwed over by the fact that there's no lanes painted anywhere. Okay, you see this right here? That's a rest stop, right? Here's a point for Canada. So we just passed a rest stop. But is there any way to get into that rest stop? The answer is no. There's no way to get into that rest stop. The US has rest stops, and they have like these bathrooms. You can use them. However, good luck driving into them. There's no way to do it. They don't plow them. So there's snow just kind of hanging out there, and so you can pull over and then climb over the snowbank, the snowbank, and maybe it's unlocked. In Canada, all those rest stops were plowed, so it was too easy. You just pull over right in front of the outhouse. I think I mentioned that in a previous video, and you're good. You're in, no problem. You can conduct your business and go about your merry way. Here, it's like, I guess they just expect you to make it to a gas station to use the restroom. So that's a point for Canada, for sure, because those things matter. When you're on a long trip, you want to be able to urinate or whatever you got to do in a proper restroom. Okay. That's it. That's all my rambling for this morning. I wanted to capture some of the pros and cons of both roads. If anything else comes to mind, I'll bring it up. I've also been thinking about things that I've missed, that I've wanted to talk about previously, like things to bring, right? I failed to mention you probably want a good watch. I don't have mine on right now, but I wear a Shinola Chrono Runwell 41 millimeter, and it's casual. It's not super like, it doesn't have like the metal steel actual band. It's just a brown leather band, and it kind of goes with anything. Maybe not anything, actually. It goes with jeans and most shirts. So you want a good watch, because you know what? It's just the appropriate thing to have, I think. I mean, yeah, we all have phones, but my phone was telling me the wrong time for a very long time because it didn't automatically switch. This car was telling me the wrong time as well because it only had the Washington time. So I switched it, but I had switched my. I always make it a habit to switch times as soon as I get off the airport. I look for the time, there it is, switch it on my watch, and so my watch was the only thing telling me realistically what the time was. All right. Another thing I failed to mention on previous video was glasses. You need glasses. You need like shades. I have Ray-Ban the basic black frame Ray-Ban Wayfarers. They work great. They're comfortable. I have better ones, but I brought those, and yeah, they've they've done miracles for me. Like if I didn't have them on those sunsets in Canada, that sun is just like punching you in the face. So like you want those glasses or sunglasses, you know, whatever. I'm not really partial to Ray-Ban. I like them, but I'm not saying they're the ones to get. I have other Ray-Bans that are really, really light that I use for cycling, and those I do really like. But if you want to just wear any glasses, wear any glasses. Now I think Polarize is the way to go, and they cost a little more, but I think they're worth the money. Okay, let's talk about real quick something that I didn't bring that I wanted to bring, and then I decided, like, to be honest, my wife kind of convinced me out of it. She was convinced I'm not going to need it, and I didn't need it. I didn't need it. She was right, but I think I should have brought it, because let's say I had to do anything overnight, like in the road, or I'd gotten stuck. This would have really increased my morale in a time where you kind of need it. So it's a jet boiler. A jet boiler, I'm not sure what it's specifically called, but it's basically a container with a device that sparks fire, and you can heat water up. So what do you need to heat water up for? Well, I've traditionally used it to wash my face if I'm in a field or out in the field for a couple days. Wash my face. I mean, there's nothing better than a clean face, because it just refreshes you in a way that's like unequal sometimes when you need it. Okay, wash that out. What do I do next? Shave. There's nothing better than shaving with hot water instead of cold water. Like if you're in a field and you have a container with water, you're in a campsite, whatever, try shaving with cold water and tell me how that feels. It's the worst. I hate it. So that's another thing you can do with the jet boiler. A second thing, of course, important to me, coffee. I can make delicious coffee or even cocoa. If I'm hungry, you do your ramen in there, you just clean it out, and it's like good to go. It's made out of like, I think like this, not stainless steel, but it's like this, some kind of hard aluminum or something, and it heats up really quick. Mine has this little gauge on the side where, like, when it turns yellow, it basically means that it's almost at the boiling point or boiling point. And it's perfect. And I think I paid $90 for it, and it's like I never buy things to make my life easier for anything that I'm doing outside in the woods. But I bought this thing and I don't regret it. It's the best decision I've made, and I've had it now for maybe like 4 years, and it's incredible, and so I recommend it. So there's like 20 different types. You don't have to get a jet boil. You can get whatever brand works. What I do recommend, though, if you're not a smoker like me, get one that has like a self-lighting system. Like mine has this click, like kind of like a electric barbecue, like a propane barbecue. So you press it down or you click it a couple times, and that sparks up the fire. It's just gonna save you a little bit of a headache. If you forget a lighter and you have a boiling system, a water boiling system, guess what? It's now useless still. It's dead weight. It doesn't do anything for you. So just get the one, and it doesn't matter what brand, that lights itself up, like using that little click system or that push button system. It's like you don't have to worry about it. Once you connect your little propane gas canister to the device, you turn it on, you release the gas, and then you click it, and boom, like 4 minutes later, not even, I think mine takes like a minute or two, you have boiling water. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. Okay, so I didn't bring it. I didn't need it, but if I had needed it, I would have been kicking if I had gotten stuck anywhere, I would have been kicking myself so hard for having been easily convinced not to bring it. And it doesn't weigh anything. It weighs maybe 2 pounds, if that. Actually, no, it probably weighs like a pound. So it doesn't add any weight to your luggage. It would have been perfect. But again, no big deal. But I recommend it. All right. That's first video. I don't think I'm going to make any more. The next video should just be a full review of this Highlander. And then a subsequent review of the car that I'm giving up for this car, essentially. The Volvo S60 Inscription 2016. And that should be fun too. Maybe I'll even do a review of the Hyundai Elantra, which is the third car I got. And that's going to be with us for a while. And it's the most economic car I think I've ever owned. And I'll go more into that later. But all right, I'm going to sign out. But if you've been watching the road trip, thank you for watching. It's fun. It's a fun time. Like, road tripping has always been a good time, but it's always better when you don't have a time frame. Like, you don't have to rush to anything, but you do have a plan, and it's always a little better when there's things to do along the way or things to see. I'll recount real quick a road trip that was real fun for me. Was anytime I have to drive through Texas, like that southern route, I can't remember what it's called, is always fun, because Texas has Dallas, it has Houston, it has San Antonio, it has Austin, it has like amazing towns, beautiful towns. I also love Arizona. I think that's a very pretty part of the country. So when you have a road trip where there's actual things, like on this road trip, I've simply just been discovering towns and getting to know them, just kind of like, because somewhat forced. I didn't really choose it. I was just like, okay, this is the biggest town in this area, I'm gonna stop here. That's it. It's like forced. But there was enough to see in some of these places. At least a good meal, good people, and a place to stay. But when you travel on the south side of the U.S., you can do things. I think off that one highway, you can go out of your way 90 miles and then you hit Austin. And Austin is 100% worth checking out, because it's just a great bar life and live music and good food. If you're in Arizona and you want to go out of the way a little bit more than 90 miles, I think you can check out Tombstone. Famous for the movie Tombstone, but before that, because of the famous gunfight with Doc Holliday and man, I can't remember all their name, but really, really good movie, and then a cool enough place to go check out if you're out there. Bisbee would be one too. That's just like a really cool minor town. All these places I would love to just go back and check out. I've already seen them, but I would go back, and I'd probably appreciate it more, because I've become more of a Western movie, like spaghetti Western movie fan lately. So places that I don't like to travel through, if I'm being honest, my own state, Florida. It's flat, it's boring. There's like a bazillion cops, because it's on like this huge drug logistical line, right? I-95. Roads are not well maintained. The drivers are horrible. I'm sorry, Florida. You're not the worst. I'll tell you the worst in a little bit, from my perspective. But Florida has not good drivers. No one uses the turn signal. There's a difference between the drivers' drive mode too. You either get the guy who's 5 miles per hour under, or 20 miles per hour over. And so like, it's not fun, man. Like, you gotta really pay attention, and it's a boring drive. All of Florida, flat, boring, not a lot to see. So you gotta pay attention, or you gotta be well caffeinated, because otherwise you're gonna fall asleep at the wheel. Like I said, too many cops. I remember on one road trip from Miami to Tucson, I saw at least 19 Florida State Highway Patrol. By the way, those cars, the Florida State Highway Patrols, they're the best camouflaged, best painted cars for that I've seen. They're like black and tan, and they just blend so well into the like the back, like I don't know, like the brush, I guess. They're always well hidden. They even use decoys to get you to slow down, and then as soon as you feel safe, you speed up, and there that dude is, just waiting to freaking give you that speeding ticket. I understand why Florida pays the money though, right? Because there's a lot of drug issues in Florida, if you know. So they're doing what they can to stop it. A lot of taxpayer money going towards that one problem. Okay, then you turn into the highway that takes you west through Texas. Like I can't remember the name of the highway. And I think I saw one cop the entire freaking time. One cop. And it was in Texas. And and he wasn't even trying to pull anyone over. He was just like driving. So that's some of the differences. And then so cops in Canada, I saw it. I think I drove maybe 19 or 2,000 miles in Canada. Somewhere along that line, like 2,000 miles were driven in Canada, at least. I saw two cops. They're white vehicles, I think it's like RCBP, RCMP, or Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP. Two of them in 2,000 miles. And they were both going the opposite direction. So if there was anyone flowing with me and on my way, I never ran into them. That doesn't mean you should speed. Here's another thing, and everybody knows this. Anyone who's taken a road trip knows this, but I'll say it. When you start off on a road trip, you're pretty good about laws, right? Like, if it says 100 kilometers an hour, like it said in Canada when I first drove through the border, that's it. I was doing 100 kilometers an hour. I may have slipped and gone 105 or maybe gone below it, but I was pretty much following the rules. That's like let's just say that's the first day of driving. The second day of driving, it's fuck all those rules, kind of, pretty much. Excuse my language. It's pretty much turns into, I want to get to where I'm going next almost as fast as I can without being dangerous. So that's when you start pushing to like the 120 kilometer an hour, 125. I think the most I did was about 140. And that was like short time, no one on the road, like nothing on the road. And it's been like 30 minutes since I seen anyone or something like that, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna push it a little. It's just a straightaway, so I'm just gonna push it. Right? So that's the truth about road trips. No matter what, like first day, if it's like a multi-day thing, first day you're like a saint, and then the second day you're like, this is gonna get old quick. I want to get to the next spot. I could use more sleep. I could definitely use some food, actual food, before the restaurant closes, instead of just eating like gummy bears and frickin' jerky or whatever it is you're eating on the way. So you just go faster, man. So all right, I think that's it. I'm on my way to see my wife and my kid, and I'm just like super excited and hyped up. So if I've been rambling on again, which I normally do anyways, sorry, but I'm a little bit excited about being with my family again. That's the legitimate truth. All right, so I'm gonna sign out. I am gonna pull over at some point. I gotta use the restroom, and hope if anything you've learned a couple little things about the road trip, like what you should do and maybe what you shouldn't do, and then a little bit of what it's actually like out here, instead of just being told. I've been pretty much just pointing the camera out on the road because I want whoever's watching to see the road. There's no really point in just looking at me talk. I think the road and the outside is way more interesting. So hopefully you're not vomiting from motion sickness because I'm just holding the camera up. But anyways, signing out. See ya.